David Wheeler has uncommon priorities for a professional footballer. The first part of his bio on Twitter reads, Sports Science graduate at Brunel University. The second part reveals that he is also a professional footballer for QPR. Having joined Exeter City from non-league at a relatively late age, and then progressed to the Championship with QPR this summer, Wheeler has a different perspective to most players. I can imagine that if you stay in football all the way through from being a kid, it is very, very difficult to imagine what it's like outside of football because you've only had that experience. I consider myself quite lucky to have had the experience of going to university and working, doing other things, because you can build empathy with people from different walks of life, he says. Most of my friends are from outside of the game. I made a lot of friends at uni and kept in contact with people I grew up with, who are doing all sorts of different things, from working for think tanks to being doctors. It definitely makes life interesting. It's nice when you're outside of football to be with people who don't really care about football. It's quite refreshing sometimes. During his time at Exeter, Wheeler wrote a regular column for the Devon Live website, a sideline he has continued with his Wheeler on Wednesday feature at QPR. He subscribes to the New Statesman and is an ambassador for Make Votes Matter, the third part of his Twitter bio in the campaign to overhaul British democracy and bring proportional representation to the House of Commons. It's something I strongly believe in. It would change politics for the better and make it more inclusive, make it so that everyone's vote actually counted. He was born and raised in a safe seat in Sousse, but Wheeler is more than happy to venture outside of his comfort zone. At 16, he had no other choice. Released by Brighton, his chances of making it as a professional drifted. It was time to focus on the real world and studying for a sports science degree at Brunel University. A daring and diligent winger who is surprisingly strong in the air, Wheeler didn't let the dream die completely. He played part-time for Lewis and then Staines Town, who he joined to be closer to the Brunel campus, before Exeter City spotted his talent during a trial in 2013. Wheeler spent 4 years in Paul Tisdale's first team, culminating in his best campaign last season when he scored 13 goals en route to Exeter's appearance in the League Two playoff final. They lost to Blackpool at Wembley, but Wheeler was offered the chance to jump up 2 divisions with QPR in August. I certainly felt it was more of a culture shock going from non-league to league football, because training every day was a big thing and you have to have so much care about everything you do. With every pass you make, the decisions you make, a lot more thought has to go into it. The big thing going from League Two to the Championship is that everyone's an athlete. In the Championship, most players are very athletic, very fit, very strong, which is a real challenge. He is adapting to the challenge well and even scored his first goal for QPR on his first start for the club against Middlesbrough in September. His passion for sports science has been further encouraged by the first-class facilities in his new surroundings. It's incredibly different from where I've been. From the amount of physios, to gym instructors, video analysis people. Everyone's helping you with everything. The data definitely helps your game when you can see it in black and white in front of you. When you can see yourself doing something, or you see the amount of passes you've made or the chances you've made, it's something you can't escape. And that's good because you want to improve, so you need to know where you are. Wheeler is happy with the straight talking in the stats department, but being at a new club has made him a little more cautious about voicing the political opinions he shared readily while at Exeter. It hasn't been easy, given the political situation in the UK and overseas. Politics should be relevant to everyone, especially now. The things that are happening now are likely to affect generations to come, with the Brexit issue and the way things are going in the US as well. Maybe I've kept my cards a bit close to my chest so far at QPR. I haven't really been as outspoken about things as I was at Exeter, but I was at Exeter for 4 years, so I was very comfortable in my last year or so to talk about politics. A lot of the guys were interested in what I thought about things, especially about tax, explaining why you pay tax and why I don't feel upset by paying what looks like a large amount as a professional footballer. You're contributing that money into a lot of things that are very positive about society. Wheeler's name isn't likely to crop up in the Paradise Papers anytime soon, but he has found that there are plenty of people who don't share his views. There have been occasions when he has been asked to curb his enthusiasm. I have landed myself in hot water a couple of times with things I've said. Maybe being a bit too explicit with a particular political party that I don't favor. But I think you learn how to be a bit smarter with that and a bit clever talking about the issues with party allegiances. There have been occasions where I've been told to rein it in a little bit. At Exeter I'd heard there was going to be a banner at the stadium saying, "Refugees welcome," and I'd stated that I would be in favor of that message because I think it's ludicrous that you can blame things on people who have no money, and there were a lot of people who took offense to that, who believe the complete opposite, that it's the fault of immigrants and refugees for coming to the country and using the resources and taking up jobs. I completely disagree with that standpoint. I got into a bit of hot water with that because people were suggesting they might not turn up. So it can go wrong on occasions, but I think you can usually reason your way out of it. You see it with Gary Lineker. He is quite vocal on Twitter about his political opinions, which he has every right to be, but a lot of people get very angry and upset because he's not an official commentator on politics, he's a football pundit and he should stick to what he does. But it doesn't make any sense for him to do that because politics affects everyone in every way and it affects his life as much as anyone else's, really. As a club, QPR have been at the forefront of initiatives to help the victims of the Grenfell Tower fire, hosting a celebrity fundraising match in September. The tragedy was inextricably linked to political decision-making and, with an inquiry now underway, Wheeler hopes it remains in the public eye. "I pretty much joined just after it happened," he recalls. "I've spoken a lot about it with other people. I'm just disgusted at the circumstances that it happened and just how indicative it was of the culture at the moment, of how the last 2 or 3 governments have been. They think it's more important to save money than look after people's lives. It's really quite sickening. Is there a need for more compassion in British society? It's not even about that necessarily. Because I think if you put any person in front of another person who is suffering, unless they're a sociopath, they would want something to happen to make this person's life better. There are very few people who wouldn't want that, so it's something very structurally wrong. I think it's mainly the prevailing economic view that it's all about profit all the time. There are other theories and other ways of doing things. You don't always need to cut from the bottom, there are other ways. Taxation even under Thatcher was much higher than what it is now. It just goes to show that a lot of it is dogma. It's not factual." Both erudite and eloquent, Wheeler's outlook perhaps jars with the pigeonhole of professional football. Graham Lasso was ridiculed by his own teammates at Chelsea for reading The Guardian and visiting museums in his spare time, but the piss-taking is less malicious these days, even if it still exists. Anytime there's any sort of difference, it gets taken the piss out of. That's just the culture. Like if you're wearing something a bit different, my trainers for example, you'd get taken the piss out of. It's just stepping out of the norm, you're opening yourself up to that banter. While Wheeler's white Converse may justify ribbing, his passion for politics is a serious business. It may one day lead into a career and require an update to his Twitter bio. But for now, QPR are the main focus as he bids to build on a steady start at Loftus Road and command a regular place in the first 11. This is an article from The Set Pieces. Follow Matt Stanger and The Set Pieces on Twitter.